Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be looking at a few new features from our latest point release, Liberty version 5, build 8.20. Most of the effort in this release was in adding the ability to produce HTML email for circulation overdues, reservations, and interests, including the email notification from serials. So let's take a quick look at a few of the other features first, and then we'll come back to the email changes. For those of you who use Federated Search, you may remember that recently we added this ability to pre-select and save your personal selections for databases. And what we've now added is the ability to also affect the order of the individual sources within each of the groups. This will also work if you are searching other libraries, that is other liberties, and you use that feature. So let's go over to the staff side and to the system area and down to the search sources. And a reminder that we've moved the search source groups into this area for convenience. And here is our encyclopedias. I'm just going to edit that record. And we have not been using a custom sort, but we can. And let's just move this to the top to prove that we can make the change. And then we'll save this change. So back again to OPAC, and let's just refresh that. Choose Federated Search again, and you can see that that change is in place. The next thing I want to take a quick look at is the area of interest. So if you have allowed your users to specify interests here under My Portal, currently when they add a new interest, and they are able to choose terms, but if they want to say where would that term appear, it's a rather significant list, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to include all of these. So we've given you the ability to limit what fields will be searched by their term. So let's go off to the staff side again, and this time we're off to management parameters. The new parameter is 4523, that's 4523. And it is here in the circulation preferences area. So let's just edit this and go down to 4523, and you'll see that currently I've made no selections, so everything is shown. So let's just add author. Remember to hit the plus sign. And let's do title and subject. I think that will do it. And then save these changes here at the top of the parameter. And now we'll go back over to OPAC and try and add another interest. And now you'll see that it's a quite reduced list. So if you're offering this via OPAC, you may find that worth doing. In our last point release, we introduced the ability to suspend the appearance of a borrower on distribution, routing, or circulating lists and the email notifications for a specific period of time. As a reminder, if you offer your users the ability to do this, it is here in where you can set the account. And on the staff side, it is in the borrower record. If you enable those fields. The fields are called suspend from and suspend to. The one type of report that was not included initially are what are known as the uncontrolled circulation lists, which are quite typically in use in the US. So if you are using one of the standard reports, as of point 20, they will work in the sense that if you suppress for a period of time, that borrower will not appear on distribution or routing lists. If you have a custom version of your routing list, typically your name is included in the name of the list, please contact support and they will make a minor change that will allow you to take advantage of this suspension feature. And speaking of serials, we have one other place that we'll visit. Those of you who are active serial users, I'm sure, are aware that upon occasion you have this experience of the predicted issues go very far into the future. The most common reason for this is that an issue was received with an issue date that may not have had the right date within it. So we've added a new button. If you go to the history on a serial, this is new, which is the ability to edit. Notice, by the way, that I've received this issue many years from now. So if you edit this, we now give you the ability to edit that date, as Liberty has been attempting to predict from the date that the user entered. Now, having corrected it here, you won't see an immediate change to predictions. Your next steps would be to use some existing tools. If you go to the serial subscription, you would delete future predictions, those predictions far into the future, and then all you would have to do is edit and save this subscription, which would have Liberty repredict without the erroneous date that was driving the future. And we hope that that will have value for you. And now let's take a look at these new email features. First, let's have a look at what emails have looked at. This is just a typical My Interest update, and this is not HTML, and you may have made some changes to how this displayed, most typically through translations. This is the new look. Don't mind the color. We were doing some experimentation, and I'll talk about color in a moment. This is based on HTML. You can do something as simple as adding a branding header or banner if you like, and changing the text to HTML without doing anything else. These areas, as has been the case in email, are taken from the first few parameters, which define your default branch, its address, phone, and email. So let's have a quick look at how we would implement this. To turn them on, you would go to Parameters, and here in the System area, there is an area for Reports. Enable HTML emails will be no by default when you come into point 20, or if you already have it, but by editing the parameter, you can change the no to a yes. If you'd like to add that header that I just mentioned, all you have to do is upload the image. We've even given you a good guideline for what will look best. And if you send out interest notifications, and this includes the serial email notification if you do them in the overnight processing, then you can select one of a number of styles of email, and we'll talk about this in a bit more. I should mention, since I'm going through this in a bit of detail and you may be wildly making notes, that we have developed a very detailed help article to explain how all of this works. It will appear in the next version of Liberty, which will be point 21. But if you would like to get to this document earlier, of course we have provided it. I'll just remind you of the new Softlink portal. This is available to most of our global Softlink clients, and we will be putting the document in this area and probably an announcement about it. If you do not have access to the Softlink portal, please just contact your support organization and they can supply the document. So back again to Liberty. We now know how to turn it on. This would be enough to change things, to add the banner, to put you into the HTML format. In terms of color, which I know you're interested, if you have used the opaque interface wizard to change your colors, as we have here in our model library, we will take on those colors in the emails. If you have not, we'll use the default colors. And the only exception is if this page has been changed by a custom CSS, we will use the default colors. If you have any questions, as always, contact support. But now let's go on to a new area that we've developed to give you yet more options in your new HTML email. So here in System Reports, there is a brand new area called Email Reports. This has just been added, and access to this area is controlled by privileges. The privileges are in an area called Access to Email Reports. Very straightforward. They will be turned on by default for the administrators, and you can give that privilege to the staff that should have it. So if we go there, you'll see that we have created 28 templates, and you can search them or just view them in these two screens. The first thing that I want to talk about are the new fields that we've added here. So let's look at a specific one. Let's have a look at this. I will just edit it. We've given you a little preview. It's not your data, but it's to give you a sense of how it will look. If you have added images as thumbnails, those will appear. If you are using synthetic solutions or Google images, those will not appear as they are referenced. If you want to amend what borrower data appears in a particular email, you can use this list both to add in fields and also to position them. By default, the fields that have always been used will be there. If you want for the circulation text to do introductory text or summary text, these will appear. If you have defined this sort of text in your individual overdue notices, whatever you have defined in the individual notice in circulation will overwrite anything that you define here. You're also able to define what fields you would like to see both for resource data and copy data and circulation data. So those are the areas where you can have an individual notice that is HTML style have some differences. For each of these notices, we have also brought the related translations. Now, previous to this time, you had some control over the notices by changing translations, and many of those can still be used. We've just given you a shortcut to be sure that you get to the ones that would be relevant for the notice that you're looking at. The next thing that I want to talk about, because they're a bit more complex, are the interest and serial. Serial instant notification will always be used if in your subscription you have said, as soon as I check in electronic content, I want this email sent out immediately. So there are similar open definitions, but this is the one that will always be used. If you have done, or your users have set up, individual interests, not the shared interests that are also available, and you on the staff side have added additional emails, that's within the template that is here in circulation in the interest area. This is the template that will be used for those additional emails. The last four templates here are to manage the idea of the interest and the interest group. You can group by one or the other, choose to not group at all, or to group by both. These are in use for the overnight processing. that is performed by Liberty when you have checked in electronic content in serials or when you have received new materials that are set up on shared interest. All of those things that happen overnight. And here's an example of something that is grouped by both interests and the interest group. You still have the ability to define the borrower, the introductory and summary text, and the display. And on this particular one, you can determine whether you prefer to have the interest group be the primary sort or the interest heading be the primary sort. If you want to do a little testing to see how, even without making any changes in this area, you can make use of this, the borrower loan email. It may be, unless you already have some test cases set up for interest, may be the easiest way to test. If you go to the circulation desk and identify a borrower who has the fields that you want to test and a resource that has the fields in both the resource and the item that you want to test, just do a loan and then make use of this feature, again, something we've added fairly easily, which is that you can email the new circulation. So if you go ahead and submit this, you will then send to the email hopefully you have access to with this borrower, and that will get you the definition that you see in this particular notice. I have an example of that just so you can see. And again, the colors would be your colors or the default colors, but this does make the case. So we hope you will enjoy these new features as we continue to work hard to increase the value of your liberty.